Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Friday, September 12th, 2025. Today is day 707. Updates of the last 24 hours, and I also have lots of updates today about some things that are happening at Churches for Middle East Peace. Conditions in overcrowded encampments for displaced Palestinians on Gaza's coast are so desperate that some people who have fled Israel's offensive on Gaza City say that they're heading back now because the conditions are so bad in the overcrowded areas where those Palestinians have been displaced. According to those displaced Palestinians, the coastal camps have no place for shelter, very few tents, inadequate water supply, and restricted health care. BBC reported this last week that anti-Islamic U.S. biker gang members that are anti-Islamic are being used to run the security at those Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aid sites. These are the sites that have become so deadly. The firm guarding the sites where aid is distributed in Gaza has been using members of a U.S. biker gang, this is according to BBC, with a history of hostility to Islam to run its armed security. BBC conducted an investigation, then they reported this news that confirmed the identities of 10 members of the Infidels Motorcycle Club working in Gaza for UG Solutions. This is a private contractor providing security for the Gaza Humanitarian Aid Foundation sites. That's where hundreds of civilians have been killed while they've been seeking food in the midst of chaos and gunfire. I wanted to announce, and please, 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 we would love for all of your churches, your mosques, your synagogues, any community, a small group. We have a new campaign. It's a global campaign. It was founded by Save the Children and I think in Norway, somewhere in Scandinavia, but Save the Children and Amnesty. And Churches for Middle East Peace is partnering with this campaign. It's called Let Children Live. Please look this up on our website, Let Children Live, based on Matthew 19:14, let the little children come to me. Churches for Middle East Peace is doing the Christian aspect of the campaign globally. So CMEP has lots of information about this. Here's how the campaign works. Amnesty and Save the Children have the names of children that are alive in Gaza. You can join the campaign and get the name of a child that's currently living, to pray for them, to advocate for them. And so, there's not a direct fundraising component of it. Our goal is just a global campaign to say, let the children of Gaza live. So please join us in that. There's, 2 million people in Gaza, 2 million children between Gaza and the West Bank. They live under brutal oppression, yet every child is beloved by God. So we'd love for you to join the Let Children Live campaign. We'll have information for churches so churches can preach sermons about it and do Sunday school classes. We'd love to come and talk to your church, so please engage. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday signed an agreement to proceed with a controversial settlement expansion plan that will cut the West Bank in half. I'm sure this is the E1 plan. This would pose a major obstacle for the functioning of a Palestinian state. Netanyahu said there will never be a Palestinian state. This place is ours. Also, in Israel, Al Jazeera reported, we put this in our bulletin this week. If you haven't signed up for our bulletin, you can do so on our website. Israel has attacked 6 countries in 72 hours in the past week. On Tuesday, there was an Israeli strike that was on Hamas leadership at the compound in Qatar during a meeting to discuss the U.S. proposed ceasefire for Gaza. The attack was a part of a wider wave of Israeli strikes extending beyond its immediate borders. And that was the 6th country that was attacked in 72 hours, the 7th since the beginning of the war. So the 6th, let's see if I can name them. There was South Lebanon, there was Syria, there was Yemen, there was Qatar. I can't name them off the top of my head. But it's beyond catastrophic in terms of the broader regional implications. In Syria, I wanted to let you know CMEP's going to have a webinar coming up on September 26th. It's called Where is Syria Now? There'll be topics of present day Syria. Rachel Nelson from the Jewish community will be talking about the Jewish community in Syria, as well as Israel's ongoing occupation of the southern part of Syria that's coupled with the ongoing clashes in Suwaida in the south. Tony Al-Hurri will talk about the Christian community in Syria and the Syrian church crisis. And then our board member, Sasha Gosh Simonov, will inform us about aid and development and humanitarian assistance needs, the lack of a transitional justice system, in Syria, aimed at holding all of the perpetrators accountable. Yemen, on Wednesday, I don't know if I named Yemen when I gave all those countries, Israel launched a round of airstrikes at Yemen. At least 35 people were killed during that attack. 130 others were injured. The health ministry said that most of those were killed in Sana'a, Yemen's capital. Related to Iran, Iran's foreign minister yesterday said that a deal between Tehran and the International Atomic Energy Agency that was announced on Tuesday does not guarantee inspectors access to the Iranian nuclear sites. Tehran wants to hold further talks on how inspections are to be carried out. Now, follow up on this attack that Israel had on Qatar. NPR came out with a report saying that they stunned the Gulf and that they also completely quelled any chances for a Gaza ceasefire on the immediate horizon. Qatar has slammed Israel's attack, targeting Hamas leaders on its soil, and called it state terrorism after an upscale suburb in its capital, Doha, was rocked with explosions that killed 6 people and dashed the hopes of a ceasefire in Gaza, where the Gulf Arab state has played the role of being a mediator. Israel's strike on those Hamas leaders in Doha killed any hope for Israeli hostages remaining in Gaza. So say the Qatari Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Jasmin Al Thani. He told CNN that Al Thani described the attack as a barbaric action, and it indicated that Qatar is reassessing everything about the future of ceasefire talks and about Israel's commitment to the peace process. Asked about the whereabouts of the chief Hamas negotiator, Khalil al-Hayya, Al Thani said until now, there is no official declaration. Hamas has claimed that Israel failed to kill any of their negotiators. If Hamas leaders did survive the Doha strike, Israel will succeed in killing them in the future, so said the Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Yechiel Later. He said that yesterday in a speech at the U.S. Capitol. He also accused Qatar of financing and supporting terrorism by playing host to Hamas. There was a breaking report that just came this afternoon on Friday in the Washington Post about how the Israeli intelligence agency balked at Netanyahu's strike in Qatar. They're talking about the Mossad, that they had planned a ground operation targeting Hamas leaders, but they declined to execute it, which forced Israel to carry out the unsuccessful airstrike. International updates. The UN Security Council members, including the United States yesterday, issued a statement condemning the Israeli strike on Qatar. The UN Security Council members expressed their condemnation of the recent strikes in Doha and underlined their support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Qatar, in line with the principles of the UN Charter. The US has historically shielded Israel from statements of condemnation, which have to be issued unanimously. They did not shield Israel this time. The flotilla that we've been talking about, the Samud flotilla for Gaza, reports that there was a second drone attack on the boat that's been held at the Tunisian port. The Global Samud Flotilla, the international aid initiative to deliver vital supplies to Gaza, said on Wednesday that one of its boats was attacked by a drone, a second strike in 2 days. The Gaza Samud Flotilla, which is seeking to break Israel's naval blockade and to deliver humanitarian assistance to war-torn Gaza using civilian boats, said in a statement that all passengers and the crew were unharmed. In the UK, pro-Palestinian activists are calling for the arrest of the Israeli president during his visit. The Guardian issued this report that activists have requested that an arrest warrant be issued against Israeli President Isaac Herzog for alleged war crimes before he arrives in the UK this week. Herzog is accused of aiding and abetting the indiscriminate killing of civilians in Gaza in the request to the Director of Public Prosecutions filed by the Friends of the Al-Aqsa Campaign Group. Germany also has said that they're going to support a UN resolution for the two-state solution in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, though it does not believe the time has yet come to recognize a Palestinian state. Moving on to the U.S., President Trump on Tuesday told Prime Minister Netanyahu that the Israeli strike on Hamas and Qatar was not wise. During a heated phone call, Trump told Netanyahu he was angry to learn about the strike on a U.S. ally mediating the Gaza ceasefire negotiation while the attack was already underway, and to learn about it from the U.S. military rather than to learn about it from Israel. According to officials, Netanyahu told Trump he had a brief window to launch the strikes and took the opportunity. A later call between the two men was more cordial. That's according to sources. Trump is expected to discuss the aftermath of that Hamas strike, the Israeli strike on Qatar, and the Hamas headquarters with Qatar's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Al-Thani. That was supposed to happen today. U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Witkoff, was expected to be present at that meeting in New York City. The Trump administration's frustration with Netanyahu has deepened after the Doha strike, and Trump and some aides are starting to doubt whether or not Netanyahu is trying to sabotage the talks. I wonder if there's any evidence to that end. But according to a person close to the president's national security team, every time they make progress, it seems like Netanyahu bombs someone. I wanted to close with some updates on Christians in the Middle East. We put out a statement today that's about a death sentence. Aid agencies warn of Israel's assault on Gaza City. 45 humanitarian and civil society agencies, including Churches for Middle East Peace, warn that Israel's assault on Gaza City amounts to a death sentence. Intensified Israeli military attacks on Gaza City and forced displacement orders for the entire city are leaving families with an impossible dilemma: flee and risk death on the road in an overcrowded displacement area, or stay and face relentless bombardment in their shelters. I wanted to just let you know about some things from CMEP's bulletin. It's not too late to join us next week. On the 16th, we're launching the Armenian Advisory Council at a gala in New York City. It's called From Ararat to the World. We'll be having just a time of commemorating Armenia, the oldest Christian country in the world, raising awareness and calling attention to the crisis facing Armenians throughout the Middle East, in Lebanon, but in the Old City of Jerusalem as well. That'll be held at the St. Vartan Armenian Cathedral in New York City on Tuesday, and you can still get your tickets if you would like to join us for that elegant gala. The primate of the Armenian Orthodox Church in North America has graced Bishop Mesrop Parsamayan and His Eminence Archbishop Viken Akazian, including and myself, will all be there as a part of that launch. We have several upcoming church events. We'd love for you to consider hosting us at your church. Destiny Magnet is speaking at the First Moravian Church in Dover, Ohio on September 21st. These are also live streamed events, so you can find these on our website. Kyle Christophalo is speaking at the National United Methodist Church in Washington, D.C. on that same day, September 21st. So I wanted to let you know about those events. And finally, that same day is a day for prayer, the UN World Peace Day. We're joining churches together in Britain and in Ireland alongside other organizations to call on the world for prayer and public witness. Sunday, September 21st, UN World Peace Day. In response to the devastating violence in Gaza and the West Bank, urgent appeals of Palestinian Christian leaders, congregations are invited to pray for peace. Include a minute of silence in your services. Use Archbishop Hossam Naum's prayer for the Holy Land. Join in actions to fast for Gaza. Join the Let Children Live campaign. Together, the church is called to be visible, a united witness for peace, justice, and reconciliation. May God go before us. May peace come quickly, especially to the people in Gaza who need it so desperately. But may peace come quickly wherever it is needed. May God comfort those who suffer and those who mourn. In the name of Christ, amen.